Have you ever wondered how your computer keeps track of all your files in their neat little nested folders? Or how a social media app organizes a massive chain of replies? Well, under the hood, it's all being managed by a data structure called a tree. But here's the fascinating part. How does a computer take this sprawling, branching structure and squeeze it into its memory, which is basically just one long straight line? Let's figure out how they pull it off.
You know, from the second you boot up your machine, you are surrounded by trees. Your entire file system, that's a tree. A company's org chart, the very structure of a web page. Even how an AI makes decisions, it's all trees. They're the invisible skeleton holding our digital world together.
And that question right there, that's the core puzzle we're tackling. See, computer memory is just a big, long row of slots, one after another. But a tree branches out in all directions. It's like trying to draw a map of a whole city's road network on a single one-way street. So, how do they do it? Well, it turns out programmers have two really clever tricks up their sleeves.
Okay, let's jump into the first method, which is honestly just pure mathematical elegance. The whole idea is to completely flatten the tree down into a simple list, or as programmers would call it, an array. So the process kicks off with something called a breadth-first traversal. The easiest way to picture this is to think of it like reading a page in a book. You start at the very top, the root, and you scan from left to right. Then you drop down to the next level and do the exact same thing, left to right. You just keep repeating that level by level all the way to the bottom.
And as you visit each one of those nodes in that super specific order, you just pop its value into the next available slot in your list. And boom, just like that, our complex branching tree is now a simple, flat array. But this isn't just about saving it. The real magic is what this lets us do next.
Okay, this is where it gets absolutely brilliant. Because we stored everything in that precise, level-by-level order, we don't actually have to remember the connections between the nodes anymore. We can just calculate them. On the fly, a computer can find any node's parent or kids just by doing some ridiculously simple math on its position, its index, in that array.
So here are the golden rules, the secret formulas. If you have a node at position k in the array, you can find its parent by just going to index k divided by 2. Easy. One is children, the left one is always at 2 times k, and the right one is at 2 times k plus 1. No searching, no guesswork, just instant, blazing fast math.
All right, let's see this in action to make it real. Take a look at node 10, which landed at index 5 in our array. To find its parent, we just do 5 divided by 2, which gives us 2.5. We just drop the decimals, so we look at index 2. And what's there? Its parent, node 9. Perfect. Now for its kids. We calculate 2 times 5, which is 10, and 2 times 5 plus 1, which is 11. And yep, if we look at indexes 10 and 11, that's exactly where we find its children. It just works.
So this array method is fast, it's simple, and it's built on beautiful math. It really seems like the perfect solution, right? But it has one potentially huge hidden flaw.
I mean, it seems flawless. If you can find any related node just with some simple multiplication and division, why on earth would you ever use another method? What's the catch here?
And here it is, wasted memory. That clever math trick only works if you save a spot in the array for every single possible position in the tree, even for nodes that don't actually exist. Now, if your tree is full and perfectly balanced, that's not a big deal. But for a sparse, lopsided tree like this one, you end up creating an array that is mostly just empty, useless space.
And for a small tree, you might think, so what? But get this, a sparse tree with only 12 nodes could easily force you to create an array with 32 slots. That's over half the memory sitting there, completely empty. And if you add just one more deep level, the size of that array can double all over again. This problem can get out of hand really, really fast.
So to solve that massive wasted space problem, computer scientists came up with a totally different way of thinking about it. Instead of a rigid, pre-sized array, they use a flexible structure called a linked list.
The best way to think about this method is like a scavenger hunt. Each node is its own little package that can live anywhere in memory. It holds its data, of course, but the crucial part is that it also holds the exact memory addresses or pointers that tell you exactly where to find its children. So to get around the tree, the computer just follows this trail of pointers from one node to the next.
The beauty of this approach is its incredible memory efficiency. You only use up space for the nodes that actually exist, and not a single byte more. If a node doesn't have a child, its pointer is just set to null, basically empty. But here's the trade-off: speed. There's no more magic math to let you jump straight to a node. You have to start at the very top, at the root, and follow that chain of pointers step by step until you find what you're looking for.
So it all boils down to a classic computer science dilemma. The array method, super fast, but it can be a real memory hog. The linked list method, perfectly efficient with memory, but it's slower to get around in. It's the ultimate question. What do you care about more, speed or space? A rigid structure or a flexible one?
Okay, I know this might feel like we're deep in the technical weeds here, but this choice is actually a huge deal. It's a fundamental decision that dramatically impacts how well a piece of software actually works. Let's look at a real-world case where this choice is absolutely critical. Check this out. This is called an expression tree. It's a special type of tree that compilers use to break down and make sense of mathematical formulas. In these trees, the leaves at the very bottom are always numbers or variables, and all the other nodes are operators, like plus, minus, or times.
And this is what makes them so powerful. The very structure of the tree itself dictates the correct order of operations. Whatever is deeper in the tree has to be calculated first. See how the parentheses from the original math problem are just gone? That's because their logic is now baked right into the tree's hierarchy. And because these trees can have all sorts of unpredictable shapes, you'd almost always build them using that flexible linked list method.
So to actually get the final answer, the computer just walks through the tree in a specific pattern. It solves the left part, then it solves the right part, and then it applies the operator at the parent node above them. By doing this over and over all the way to the top, it can chew through even the most complicated formulas and get the right answer every single time.
And this really brings us right back to the central lesson here. There's no single best way to do things. The right choice always depends on the problem you're trying to solve. Are you building something that's predictable and needs to be blindingly fast? The array is probably your answer. Are you building something dynamic, complex, where every byte of memory counts? Then the linked list is your best friend.
So I'll leave you with a final thought to bring all this back to the world you use every day. Think about a social media feed. With all of its nested comments and replies, that's a tree. Now that you know the trade-offs between speed, memory, and flexibility, how would you build it? Which method would you pick, and why?